Katri Ratia is a researcher affiliated with the University of Fribourg in Switzerland, whose doctoral work focused on the ritual practices of the rainbow family at European gatherings. Her research interests include contemporary ritual theory, ritual creativity, and alternative spirituality, and she is currently part of the Ritual Creativity Research Project funded by the Swiss National Science Foundation, where she contributes to seminars and publications on new ritual modalities. Beyond her peer-reviewed article connected to the past, Creative Rituality at Etruscan Archaeological Sites in the Frame of European Rainbow Gatherings, 2021, she is the author of the monograph Alternative Spirituality, Counterculture, and European Rainbow Gatherings, Pachamama, I'm Coming Home, published by Routledge in 2023. Her academic background combines anthropological and ritual studies approaches, with fieldwork among countercultural, nature-oriented communities and a focus on how ritual innovation develops in non-institutional settings. This paper studies how participants in European rainbow gatherings, large, leaderless, nature-focused countercultural camps, create and perform rituals at or near Etruscan archaeological sites in Italy, and compares these practices with contemporary paganism. It shows that rainbow communities privilege shared practices over shared beliefs, daily circles, a continuously tended sacred fire, moon-timed schedules, and open participant-led rites coexist with many different personal meanings, from reverence for earth energy to stories about Etruscan deities or darker histories. Sites are selected mainly for practical reasons, but nearby ruins are treated as adding power or significance. Interactions range from meditating and making offerings in rock-cut chambers to festive gatherings, sometimes provoking tension with heritage authorities. Rather than one fixed tradition, the rainbow milieu exemplifies crafted and polyvocal tradition building, where varied narratives about the past align under broad ideals of sacralized nature and communal cooperation, producing social cohesion without doctrinal uniformity. The introduction explains that tradition isn't something fixed or ancient, but something people actively create together, shaped by their culture, history, and social goals. Drawing on scholars like Henry Glassy, Jonathan Friedman, and Sabina Mogliocco, the author presents the idea that rituals are creative acts that connect people to both the past and the present. This view sets the stage for comparing the rainbow family's gatherings, spiritual, community-based events held near old Etruscan ruins, with modern pagan practices, showing how each group uses ancient places in unique ways to express identity, meaning, and belonging. Rainbow gatherings began in the United States during the early 1970s as an outgrowth of the 1960s counterculture and anti-war movements. Their founders sought to create a space where people could live cooperatively without formal leadership, commerce, or political hierarchy. The gatherings were envisioned as peaceful, temporary communities that would embody ideals of love, equality, and mutual support. Over time, these events became a recurring social and spiritual phenomenon that blended activism, communal living, and spiritual experimentation under the shared goal of creating a more harmonious and cooperative world. Central to rainbow ideology is a deep reverence for nature, which functions as both a spiritual and symbolic foundation. The gatherings celebrate natural cycles such as the moon phases and solstices, and nature itself is viewed as sacred, healing, and inherently good. Participants often contrast nature with what they call Babylon, their term for modern industrialized society, which they see as corrupt, materialistic, and disconnected from human and ecological balance. This symbolic opposition between Babylon and nature shapes much of rainbow philosophy, motivating participants to reject consumerism and instead practice simple, ecologically conscious living that aligns with spiritual values of purity and connection. Today, rainbow gatherings are held on nearly every continent, with the largest and most established events in North America and Europe. These gatherings typically last several weeks and bring together thousands of people from diverse backgrounds who live collectively without formal structures, money exchange, or official representation. Each event functions as a temporary autonomous community governed by consensus, emphasizing cooperation, equality, and shared responsibility. Despite their impermanent nature, The gatherings have sustained a global network of participants who continue to uphold the original countercultural ideals of peace, inclusivity, and living in harmony with the earth. The Rainbow Family is a loosely organized network of people who voluntarily come together to create temporary, self-sustaining communities during their gatherings. There are no official leaders, membership lists, or permanent structures. Instead, everything operates through collective participation and consensus. Each gathering functions independently, and all organization is carried out by volunteers who share responsibilities for cooking, cleaning, decision-making, and maintaining the space. Because attendance varies from one event to another and participants constantly come and go, the gatherings remain fluid and adaptable, with social order maintained through shared customs rather than formal authority. Spiritually and culturally, the Rainbow Family draws from a wide range of influences, especially New Age and neo-pagan currents, though participants resist strict religious or ideological labels. The focus is less on holding common beliefs and more on practicing shared rituals, community service, and personal expression. People attend for many reasons: spiritual exploration, social connection, learning communal living skills, or simply enjoying life in nature. This emphasis on action and experience over dogma allows a diverse mix of individuals to coexist harmoniously, united by values of cooperation, openness, and respect for both human and natural communities. Rainbow culture idealizes what it calls tribal and natural ways of life, portraying indigenous and pre-modern societies as spiritually authentic, ecologically balanced, and socially just. This worldview positions such lifestyles as a moral and practical alternative to the perceived corruption of Western modernity, which the community associates with materialism, inequality, and environmental destruction. Living simply and harmoniously with nature is seen not only as a spiritual goal, but also as a form of resistance to mainstream values. These ideas are deeply embedded in the gathering's practices and philosophies, shaping everything from communal organization to dietary and healing choices, and reinforcing the belief that humanity can return to a more balanced, earth-centered existence. At the same time, this admiration for indigenous and traditional cultures brings ethical and cultural complexities. The Rainbow Family's recreation and use of symbols, rituals, and ideas from marginalized cultures often raise concerns about cultural appropriation and misrepresentation. While some participants acknowledge these issues, discussions around them are rare, and romanticized depictions of indigenous life remain common. The movement's openness and diversity mean that not all members share the same awareness or sensitivity to these problems, resulting in internal tensions. Nevertheless, the community's intentions generally stem from a desire to honor perceived wisdom and harmony found in older traditions, even when those interpretations are filtered through Western countercultural ideals. Rainbow gatherings are organized around a distinctive physical and social layout designed to promote simplicity, cooperation, and connection to nature. Camps are set up in remote natural areas and intentionally kept low-tech, avoiding the use of electricity, machines, and digital devices. The environment is built around shared facilities such as communal kitchens, tea tents, healing spaces, and sacred areas for reflection or ceremony. Upon arrival, participants are greeted at the Welcome Home Camp, which serves as an entry point for guidance and orientation. The rejection of modern conveniences reflects the community's philosophy of self-reliance, ecological awareness, and a deliberate withdrawal from the noise and structures of contemporary life. The gatherings follow a ritualized temporal rhythm closely aligned with natural cycles. Each event typically begins on the new moon and culminates in the full moon, symbolizing renewal, growth, and collective harmony. This lunar structure divides the event into distinct phases: the seed camp, where early arrivals prepare the site and set up communal areas; the main gathering, when participation peaks; and the cleanup, when the community dismantles the camp and restores the land. This cyclical process not only ensures environmental responsibility, but also gives the gatherings a sense of continuity and organic flow, mirroring seasonal and cosmic rhythms that reinforce their spiritual and ecological values. At the heart of the gathering lies the sacred fire, a permanent communal flame that burns throughout the event. It serves as the spiritual and social center of the camp, around which daily meals, rituals, and group discussions are held. The fire represents unity, equality, and the shared life force of the community, embodying the collective spirit that holds the gatherings together. It also symbolizes continuity across time, linking participants to each other, to nature, and to the countless gatherings that have come before. The sacred fire thus stands as both a literal and symbolic hearth for the rainbow family, a point of convergence where spirituality, tradition, and communal life meet. Archaeology and tradition building explains how archaeology serves as a creative and symbolic resource for constructing new spiritual traditions. Rather than viewing ancient sites only as historical artifacts, groups like the Rainbow Family use them as living spaces that connect the present to imagined or reinterpreted pasts. These reinterpretations often draw from feminist and alternative perspectives, such as goddess-centered or vernacular histories, that challenge official academic or institutional narratives. At the same time, the meanings attached to these sites are not fixed but multiple and sometimes conflicting, reflecting diverse interpretations within the community. This flexible, open-ended engagement with heritage allows participants to use archaeology as a foundation for personal and collective identity, blending imagination, history, and spirituality into evolving forms of tradition. Rainbow gatherings share many features with contemporary pagan practices, particularly in their focus on ritual, nature, and communal participation. Both traditions include symbolic elements such as ritual fires, circular gatherings, and celebrations based on lunar and seasonal cycles. Participants in both settings often express beliefs in natural energies, spiritual forces, or sacred presences within the land. These rituals emphasize experiential spirituality, where personal engagement, creativity, and connection to the environment replace formal doctrines or hierarchies. Through song, dance, and shared ceremonies, rainbow participants enact a sense of unity with nature and one another that closely parallels the earth-centered spirituality found in many pagan communities. Despite these similarities, rainbow rituality stands apart for its radical openness and lack of structure. While many pagan groups have organized traditions or defined spiritual lineages, the Rainbow Family rejects any form of centralized authority or prescribed belief. Its gatherings operate through what the author calls open rituality, meaning all rituals are voluntary, anyone may lead or participate, and leadership is temporary and situational. This model reflects the community's anti-authoritarian ethos and global inclusivity, allowing participants from diverse cultural and spiritual backgrounds to contribute freely. The result is a dynamic and evolving ritual culture that values participation and shared experience over hierarchy or orthodoxy, making rainbow spirituality uniquely fluid and egalitarian. The author conducted ethnographic fieldwork across 4 rainbow gatherings held at 2 Etruscan locations in Italy's Lazio region, Luni sul Mignone near Blora in 2015 and 2019, and a hillside site by Lago di Bolsena in 2014 and 2016. The choice of these settings exposed participants to visible archaeological remains, including rock-cut chambers, traces of longhouses, and a Bronze Age habitation complex, with local lore at Bolsena speaking of a former temple to Minerva atop the hill. Although not all attendees paid attention to the Etruscan past, many found the ruins meaningful. Simply camping among ancient remains shaped participants' sense of place, with the landscape and its material traces becoming part of daily life. The ruins created a backdrop that could be engaged casually or reverently, allowing both ordinary use and moments of heightened significance. Interaction with the archaeological features was active and embodied. People slept in the rock chambers, established small camps in caves, and let children play among carved spaces. These uses blurred lines between dwelling, play, and ritual, turning the sites into shared environments where practical needs and spiritual impulses overlapped. Narratives circulating at the gatherings framed the locations as charged with earth energy or a residual power from ancient ritual activity. Such talk linked the sites to broader alternative spiritual ideas, geomancy, ley lines, vortices, and energy centers, casting the landscape as a living source of vitality and insight. For some, this energy connected them imaginatively to ancestral wisdom and sacred continuity. Despite these symbolic layers, Site selection was primarily pragmatic. Scouts looked first for water, firewood, open areas for large circles, and an assurance the group could remain without conflict. Only after these basics were met did the presence of ruins become a valued extra, adding felt intensity and meaning to the event without determining the choice on its own. This blend of practicality and symbolism reflects an eclectic, revivalist relationship to heritage. The gatherings did not attempt historical reconstruction. Instead, they folded ancient places into a contemporary, open-ended ritual culture. In doing so, participants crafted a flexible tradition where everyday practices, personal interpretations, and the palpable presence of the past coexist to sustain community and identity. In her conclusion, Katri Ratia argues that rainbow rituality represents a distinctive example of a living, polyvocal tradition that thrives through creativity, participation, and openness, rather than fixed beliefs or doctrines. The gatherings show that social and spiritual cohesion can emerge from collective practice, through shared rituals, cooperation, and storytelling, without requiring everyone to hold the same worldview. This flexibility allows people from diverse backgrounds and beliefs to engage in meaningful cultural creation together, sustaining a sense of unity based on mutual experience rather than dogma or hierarchy. Ratia emphasizes that imagination, memory, and engagement with place play central roles in how participants construct meaning and continuity. By situating their activities near archaeological sites, rainbow gatherers anchor their practices in landscapes that already carry layers of history and symbolism, which they reinterpret through ritual and community. This process demonstrates how cultural traditions are constantly being recreated and reimagined, linking past and present through participatory acts that blend spirituality, creativity, and social experimentation. Ultimately, the study concludes that rainbow gatherings exemplify a model of tradition building rooted in openness and adaptability. Their rituals merge ecological awareness, communal living, and individual expression in ways that transform heritage into a shared, evolving experience. Through collective imagination, the rainbow family connects diverse participants to one another, and to the sacredness of nature and history, illustrating how new forms of spirituality can emerge from collaborative creativity rather than inherited authority. Katri Ratia does not devote a separate discussion to the ethical implications of holding gatherings at or near archaeological sites, yet ethical issues are implicit throughout her treatment of the topic. She observes that rainbow gatherings sometimes take place within or adjacent to ancient Etruscan remains, rock-cut chambers, Bronze Age structures, and sites recognized by Italian heritage authorities. While she documents participants using these areas for camping, dwelling, and ritual, she notes that such practices occasionally create tension with official heritage management, hinting at underlying ethical and legal concerns regarding preservation, respect, and site use. Ratia's analysis frames this tension within a cultural rather than regulatory lens. She focuses on how participants interpret these places as spiritually charged rather than as protected archaeological heritage. She highlights the rainbow family's informal ethos, where access is open, and engagement with ruins is guided by personal intuition rather than conservation norms, and contrasts it with institutional notions of stewardship and authenticity. Although she stops short of judging these actions explicitly, her descriptions imply an ethical ambiguity. The same acts that participants see as honoring ancient energy or connecting with the past may be viewed by archaeologists or heritage officials as intrusive or inappropriate.